everyone, I was in the mood today for talking about surviving the school holidays as a self-employed person. Now, specifically for me, I am an author, but I think that these 10 tips will be useful no matter the nature of your self-employed or business ownership or working from home situation. So I really hope this is helpful. Now, arguably, I should have made this video and uploaded it at the start of the school holidays so it was helpful for all of us. But a lot of these things are as a result of reflecting on this summer, previous summers as well, but this one in particular was more of a juggle than others have been. So yeah, I just felt like this was something I wanted to talk about right now, and I thought about delaying this video, making it next year, being sort of organised ahead of the summer holidays next year, but I'm in the mood for talking about it now. So I will just share this video every school holiday. So get used to on my social media every school holiday seeing me share this. So yeah, I know it's a little bit late for these tips, but I'm looking at this from a perspective of having survived the school holidays instead of planning to survive them. So we're almost at the end, and that's why I wanted to talk about this today. Now, for context, if you haven't come across my channel before, as I said, I'm an author. I've been running my author business for 6 years. Previous to that, I was a school teacher, so I still needed to do work in the holidays. I feel like this juggle is something that I'm quite used to. I have 3 children, 14, 11 and 7. So I've had a lot of school holidays of getting all of this to work. And I think these tips apply to any school holiday. Equally, I think they're helpful if you are in that preschool childcare difficult situation and you're just juggling work and having kids at home. Essentially, that's what we're talking about here. Now, some of these tips are going to be really obvious to some of you, but I think that it's really hard. And if there's anything in here which is helpful, you just get one little bit where you go, oh, I hadn't thought about that in that way. Or if you just listen to this and go, yeah, like we're all in the same boat and this is difficult. That's all I hope, is just that this is useful, or you can sit and watch it before the school holidays and you can just think, okay, I've got all that in place. Let's go. That's what I would like this video to be. As I said, it's really, really difficult. So with all that said, I'm going to start off with my first tip talking about childcare. Now, I know for some of you guys, you will have paid childcare options, whether that's holiday clubs or maybe you've got your child in some kind of childcare setting, whether it's a nursery or something else. That's not something that personally I've ever done over the holidays. The reason being, as I said, I used to be a school teacher, and I still do some supply work now, by the way. With me being off in the holidays, it wasn't something that I would really do. I would sort of just juggle things, and that worked for me. Also, with my business right now, I don't make enough to justify paying for childcare in the holidays. At some point, perhaps I will do, but right now that's just not really going to work. So yeah, for me, I haven't gone down the paid childcare route. Whatever kind of childcare you have, I'll talk about some other options in a second. Just need to get it established way ahead of time. Not just so it's sort of booked in and organised, but also so in your mind you know what the rhythm of that time is going to be. So the other thing that you can do, which I've done most school holidays, is to use family. We're very lucky that my mum and my husband's parents are local and that they can have the children a lot. This summer that hasn't worked out, so that's why this summer in particular has been more of that juggling act, and I feel like I have just a bit more to say about trying to make it work with the children at home. Also, the ages of the children have affected things, but I will come back to that. So if you are fortunate enough to have family who can help out in this situation, have that conversation with them. It's really difficult to need their help, be really, really grateful, but also, and not want to take advantage, to get that balance. It is really hard. So have frank conversations, what would be acceptable for them and help you. Things like, how do you get the children to them to make sure that they're not doing too much, or like what are they comfortable with, because you don't want them to be getting really irritated that you're in any way taking advantage. So have those conversations, establish what they are happy to do, and get those dates in the diary. So that can be really helpful. Equally, if you have a partner at home and you can speak to them about whether they can help out. So again, in the past, my husband was self-employed and we would juggle things a bit more between us. Whereas now he is employed, so he's working regular working hours. And this year he wasn't able to get time off in the summer. So in the future, that's because he was new in the job and other people had already booked the summer holidays, which happens. But hopefully in the future, he might be able to have the odd day here and there just to help out, to take the pressure off me juggling. Because if I can just get my head in the game for a full day, I can get tons of stuff done. So again, have that conversation. If you have a partner at home, are they able to take some of their holiday during the school holidays so that you have that dedicated work time? You can just disappear off and they are in charge of the kids for that day. As I say, none of that worked out for me this summer, but in the past it has done. So whatever those arrangements are that you're using, get those organised way ahead of time. Make sure it's all scheduled so you know how much time you're going to have to work and when it's going to be. That really helps to just know what tasks are happening when and how much time you have uninterrupted. Because sometimes, as we'll come on to, you do just need to work when the kids are around. But it's much easier when they're not. Number 2, play dates. So if childcare is not so easy, or to add to childcare, play dates can be really good as well. This can be a totally reciprocal thing as well. It should be. So if you have a friend, your kids get along and say, if you have all the kids this day, I'll have them all this day. You both benefit. You both get that amount of time when you can work. And it's weird, but I think it's easier when you have more kids around. When you have the friends over, your children just disappear and play. And it's actually easier often to look after them when they have friends over. So play dates, get some play dates scheduled in. Have those conversations with your kids, friends, parents. Do you want to set up a thing here? Let's work smart. So for the sake of a couple of chaotic days when there are loads of kids in the house, you get work time. So play dates are amazing as well. All of that sort of leads into my 3rd tip, which is around getting your work done in term time as much as you can. If you are looking at the childcare, play dates, all of the time off, equally if you're going on holiday and things like that, all of the things that you have planned for the school holidays and the amount of work you're going to need to do, and you're looking at it all and you're thinking, I'm not going to have enough child-free days to get done what I need to do, you're starting to look at that juggle of working with the children around. So it can be really helpful if you think about working smart in term time. So one aspect of that is doing as much as you can, really, really putting the hours in term time. Or for me, I don't have the option, and a lot of us won't, of doing more hours. I have to work the school day because then I have to go and get my children. But it's that working really hard, like I don't really take a lunch break. I don't, I work intensely in the school day. Yes, it's tiring, and that is a whole story for another day. But making sure that you take advantage of the time, the child-free time you have in term time is really good. But not just that, working smart as well. So for me, I think about what tasks I need to do child-free and get those done in term time. And the other things like writing an email or, I don't know, editing videos is kind of all right with kids around. So think about the tasks you have, do the ones that you want to have child-free in term time and just really push to get them done. So for me, I had a big writing project just before the school holidays and I absolutely ran at that to just get it done because I cannot work creatively and try and get my head into a book with the kids about. So yeah, it's maximising your time in term time, but also doing the tasks that are best done in term time. And that really helps to set you up, particularly if you don't have enough childcare over the holidays. Number 4, is thinking about whether you might need to do some evenings and weekends, and having that conversation with your, family members, partner, support network, whoever's around and needs to know that if, for example, so for me with my husband at home, I can say to him, look, I'm going to really struggle with the amount of childcare I've got. So if I can do a couple of evenings, or could I do like a Saturday, is that going to work? And we did do that in the first 2 weeks. It wasn't even just work stuff. It was also chores and just stuff I needed to do that he then took the kids off my hands at the weekend. So again, having those conversations and saying, I am struggling, I can't get everything done, and having someone else help. It doesn't even necessarily need to be a partner. It could be a family member or a friend who maybe they're not free in the workday, but they're willing to have the kids for an evening, or, take them out for the day at the weekend just so you can catch up. So that can be really helpful as well, is think about evenings and weekends. I personally shy away from it a bit because I find that working evenings and weekends affect my mental health if I do it too much. But within reason, it's coping. Think about if that's something you might need. And as I say, have conversations with the people you need to about putting that in place. So that can really help as well. So with all of those things said, hopefully you have figured out what your workload is, what your options are for where the kids can be, and also you've sort of scheduled your work so that the things you need to do with kids around are as easy as possible. Hopefully that kind of puts you in a good position. So with that said, we then start thinking about your activities. Now I'm going to talk about tip number 5 is arrange some days out. Now, yes, you can't work when you're having a big day out. But for me, if I know that I have done some really big, lovely things, and by big, I don't mean expensive, I mean just, a lovely long day out where I'm really giving them attention, I find that helps when I then have the days like today where I'm like, please go on screens. We've had a couple of really big days out. I took them away on a week-long trip as well last week, camping in Cornwall. You might have seen my vlog, I'll link it below. But I mean, for instance, we had a day at a local park and we must have been there for 5 or 6 hours with them playing in the park, walking around the area, just exploring, just, really that's all it was just wandering around, spending time together, took a picnic. It was lovely. So if you put into your diary some of those lovely days where it's all about your kids, you're just, we're going to have this lovely, memorable, pleasant day together. It makes those work days a bit less. They don't make you feel so guilty. So think about that. Think about your big days out. It's also a bit of a bargaining chip of, look, I'm taking you out here tomorrow. So if you can just bear with me today, then, I'm all the attention tomorrow. And that can really help. Again, it does depend on ages a little bit, but generally I think they sort of understand. So yeah, book in some nice, like big attention days out. My next one related to that is do try and leave the house every day. I don't always, but I try to. This is something that I got into when the kids were small, and I just found that the days were endless. And that's true when you're juggling work as well. It's like you have all of these tasks, everything is difficult, the kids are just getting kind of If you leave the house, it doesn't matter what you're doing, it just makes it easier. And again, if you say, right, I need to work for 2 hours, but this afternoon we're gonna whatever. And when I say leave the house, I literally mean go to the park, or it could be walk the dog, or it could be go and run an errand. Sometimes that's all it is for me, but it's the fresh air, change of scenery. I think we all benefit from it. We have our little, we're just going to pop out for 10 minutes or play on bikes out front. Whatever it is, just try and think about a leaving the house situation because it really, really breaks up the day. I think this is particularly true when your children are small. When mine were really little, those days seemed long. And so for me, even as babies, I would go somewhere, whether it was a baby group or take them for a walk or whatever, just leave the house every day. I think it benefits everybody's mental health. When they're older, you can get away more with all just being at home and, you know, all kind of doing their own thing. All my children are on devices right now. And that works. But yeah, I think if you can get out, burn up some energy, change of scenery, it makes those quiet times when you need to work so much easier, and everybody is just a bit happier for it. So try and leave the house every day in some context if you can. Next one is planning out some home activities. Now, I do not mean, someone once said to me when I was complaining about how hard it is to entertain children at home, well, you know, you can come up with like a themed box every day and you put in all activities around that theme, and like today is Rivers Day, and so we're going to make fish and we're going to pretend we're doing river, whatever. Wonderful if you can do it, and I know people who can. I'm not that organised. Everything is all far more chaotic for me. So I don't mean that. I don't mean planning out all of your time with themed activities, because actually also you plan the activities and your kids don't want to do it. So what I mean is more along the lines of, what could we do if we were at home? And making sure you have some ideas that you can just pull out and some resources. Different people do this in different ways. I quite like, and have done in the past, where you have like a jar with some activities written down, and you either pick one out every day, or if they say they're bored, say, well, go and get one of those. That can work quite nicely. Or like we did that once with lolly sticks and we had things written on it. So go do that. It could be, one thing we've done in the past is written at the beginning of the summer, right, what do you want to do? And I often find it's not go on a big trip. Some of those will be in there, but sometimes it will be things like, I want to do some colouring, or I want to do some junk modelling, or I want to play Lego, or it's that really simple, chilled out holiday vibe stuff. So find out what your kids want to do, and then you can plan some of those kinds of activities. For me, it often is just thinking the next day ahead and just thinking, what could we do tomorrow if they are bored and they don't want to just play together or play on their own? What could we do? So for instance, right now I've got up my sleeve a baking task, I've got some craft bits, I've got some colouring books, and so those would be my suggestions. Also be ready to think on your feet if they don't want to do any of that. But yeah, just have some ideas. So when you're at home and they're bored, when they're bored, they want even more of your attention. And that's regardless of whether you're trying to work at the same time or not. You know, because I think this working from home thing is a lot about them having things that they can do while you're working, but also that when you're not working, they're engaged in things that then still make them feel like they've had your attention and your time. Otherwise they start getting, you know, they start fighting and they start being difficult and they're bored and I don't want to do anything, and they're all over you and you're trying to do a thing. So it's just about having stuff so you can be like, hey, why don't you do this? That could be having stuff prepared, like you've bought some nice magazines that they like doing, or you've bought a new craft set or whatever, so you can give it to them and say, like, go away and do this, and they'll be like, oh, I really want to do that. So it could be that, or it can be like prepping some materials, so having the paints out and all that, and be like, hey, why don't you do some painting while I just do my emails? So it's however you look at it, whether you're balancing work or whether you're just trying to entertain them, I think it works much the same, just to keep them happy and engaged and not moaning at you. So have some stuff, have some resources, have some ideas, so that you can kind of just come up with stuff. I think that's really helpful as well. Next on my list is screens. Do you know what? When my son was little, my eldest, I was so particular about screens, and he was allowed a maximum of 2 hours a day. And at the time, one of those hours was the bedtime hour, and then the other hour would be some other TV when I needed to get some tasks done around the house. And I was really particular about that. Now, they definitely get more screen time than that. And actually, as they get older, it's way harder to police. For me, it's a case of there are some days where they're not really on screens because we're doing stuff, And there are other days where I really need them to be on screens because I need to do what I need to do. As I say, I needed to film this video right now, so I've said, go on screens. They are silent and quite happy. And it's okay. I know people have opinions over this, and, you know, do whatever feels comfortable for you, however much time feels comfortable for you. And for me, that is something that has changed. And I think for a lot of us, it's something that has changed. I do often think back to when I was a kid, and I don't think there was as much limitation. It was quite acceptable to watch TV for hours on end, and then you might be chucked out to go play. Okay. So I think just decide what your limitations are, but be kind to yourself. Screens do enable the kids to give you some time and space. I can hear one of my children coming down the stairs right now. I'm almost done. Can you just let me finish? Give me about 5 minutes. Okay, give me 5 minutes, play in your room, and I will come up. And then we're going to do some stuff together. Yeah? I literally just need to finish this video quietly. And it will take me 5 minutes. Promise. You're going to just stick around? You can? Okay. That's fine. Well, we have an interloper who is sitting with the dogs. All right, no worries. Real life. So yeah, the screens can work, and you know, make sure that they're watching stuff you're comfortable with, or if they're playing games that you're okay with. Make sure you know what they're doing. Make sure it's within the realms of what you feel is appropriate in terms of time and content and so forth. But if you need to use screens, it's just one of those things. It's okay. So I'll come back to that point in a moment, but be prepared for the screens and make sure you have the devices. They're charged up. That's why the little one's just come along now. It's because hers has run out. And yeah, that you're prepared for screen time. What you doing? Oh, I see. My next one, number 9, is snacks. Children who have snacks are more amenable. I find that when they start to get hungry, that's when they are bored and they don't want to do the things and they are more irritable. So have the snacks. It also does help if you're just finishing something off to say, hey, eat this snack. So all the snacks, just make sure you're stocked up. It's really, really helpful. I have found, you can go outside, that's fine. I have found that having snacks at hand, always is really, really helpful. Again, within the realms of what you feel is a healthy snack, and how much you want to give them. But yeah, I find like mid-morning, I'm trying to do some work. They've started to come and ask me what I'm doing and whatever. And then I can say, hey, have a snack. As I said just a moment ago, she saw on screen, I will be 5 minutes. Give me a moment. She's just gone out to play on the trampoline. You can probably hear she's just left the door open. It's all good. So yeah, snacks can hold them for a time, but it also keeps them more cheerful. I think these things as well, when you give them something, they feel like, oh, I was given a thing. It makes them more amenable. So yeah, overall, before I come on to number 10, you've taken them out to do some nice things. You've given them some activities to do. You've broken up the day with some time outside, going on a little trip somewhere. You have given them snacks to keep them fueled up and going, because kids are just like little, I don't know, like a wind-up machine, and it starts to slow down and you have to give it a snack. You've also used the screens when you have to, so that you can concentrate. You've done all of those things. We come on to number 10. Don't feel guilty about it. You know, I think it does help when you think back to our childhoods, and, you know, I think things were different when we were kids and the culture was different, and it was far more acceptable to just be like, go off and play or go and watch a screen, and for parents not to feel guilty about it. I think these days we beat ourselves up a lot. And I think just think about how important your work is in terms of providing for your family, the things that you have as a result, but also how it makes you feel. Like, I love what I do. I'm so passionate about it. It fills my cup, you know? I just feel like it's it's good for me, and what makes me happy is going to be good as well for the family in general. I feel like I did what I needed. I'm also making time to do what they need. So, don't feel guilty about needing to do stuff. It's okay. You don't have to be with your kids at all times doing like fun stuff that was pre-prepped. Boredom is good for them. Makes them more creative. It's okay for them to learn to play themselves or come up with games together, entertain themselves, to discover what they're interested in. That's all okay, and it's okay for them to watch screens. I love TV, I love YouTube, so why not allow my children to enjoy media? It's all right within reason. So don't feel guilty for making it work so that you can continue to work in the holidays. Don't feel guilty if you've put them in childcare for a lot of the time, because you need to do what you need to do. They probably have a brilliant time at childcare, so don't worry about it. They probably loved their days out with their grandparents or whatever it might be. They like having a different person looking after them who does different things with them. So yeah, just don't feel guilty. It is really tough, and I think you can never feel like you're doing everything perfectly. You're trying to balance all this stuff. So whatever you need to do, as an overview, book in the childcare that you need. Make sure that you are prepped task-wise for the summer. Make sure that you have stuff to entertain them both while you work and also when you're not working, so they feel that they've had lots of attention and good times from you. And don't beat yourself up. And overall, and snacks. Snacks are very important in this. Overall, that's the secret to a summer. Or any school holiday, as it were. That's how we've survived this school holiday. Now, as I said to my daughter, I would only be 5 minutes. I don't know if I've been longer than 5 minutes, but I'm going to wrap up now and go and pay her some attention. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back next week for another video. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Leave me a comment. Tell me about how your childcare situation, summer working thing is going and your top tips. As I said, I'll be sharing this video every school holiday from now on. Thank you so much and take care. Right, I'm done. I'm coming. Are we going on the trampoline?